Hello, welcome to episode 20 of the Eldenwood Craft Podcast. My name's Emma and this is my podcast all about my crafty life. It's Sunday the 23rd of December, so it's the Christmas edition. You can see my tree, you can see my daughter's advent calendar in the background. Can you see anything else? There's some Christmas lights hanging out the window, but I doubt you'll be able to see those, although maybe you can. Don't know. And there's some decorations down there, so it's as Christmassy as we get around here at Eldenwood Craft Towers. Show notes for today's episode will be down there. I will also put them in on my website, and I will put them in the Ravelry group. Details of everywhere that you can find me, all the clickable links for today's episode are down there. And I'm not going to put links to absolutely every single item that I'm talking about today, because I quite like to get this up as quickly as possible. I'm going to be doing a bit of a review of things that I've made during the year, and you'll be able to see all those through my Ravelry project pages, and there will be a link to the project pages down there. Did I say that I'll be putting show notes also on the website? I can't remember. If I did, if I didn't, they're there. If I did, apologies. If you are a returning viewer, thank you very much for coming back. I really do appreciate all the support that you give me. And if it's your first time visiting, a very big hello, a very warm welcome. Please do give me a thumbs up if you enjoy the episode. And if you'd like to follow along with more episodes, then click on the subscribe button. Right, I'm going to jump straight into the content of the show. I have got one finished object for you. I will run fairly quickly through the works in progress that I've got, and then I want to do a quick review of my Make 9 for 2018. And then move on to talk about the Make 9 for 2019. After that, just consulting with my show notes, I have no acquisitions at all. And then a very quick mention about the hat knit along that I'm running with Caroline of Caroline Loves to Sew. And then that'll be it for the episode. Before I get started on that though, I did a giveaway for the beautiful Busy Pottering bag and some yarn and bits and pieces from my stash. Not heard from the winner of that. I did a very short episode to announce the winner a couple of weeks ago, and I've not heard. So I will give you one more week to get in touch with me. It was Amanda. And if I don't hear from you by then, Amanda, by next Sunday, which will be December the 30th, I will do another draw and pop the winner, pop the name of the winner somewhere. I'm not sure. I'll have a think about that, and I will put details of where I will announce the new winner in the show notes. Okay, so on with the show. My first finished object is not literally, but it's reasonably hot off the needles, so much so that I haven't had time to weave the ends in. But let me just put them on the sock blockers, for it's a pair of socks. In fact, I've only got one sock blocker with me today, so I will show you one. There we go. And it's these beautiful socks. They are a Twisted Limone pair of socks. Have I got the ball band? I think I have. Bear with me. No, I don't seem to have the ball band. So I can't remember the colourway, but there is the remainder of the ball. There's a good chunk left, isn't there? But there is the sock, and there is the second sock. You can see all the ends that haven't been woven in. And this is one of Karen's beautiful self-striping yarns. This is the third pair of Twisted Limone socks that I have finished now. And I normally knit self-striping, just a plain vanilla sock, but with these you can see I did a little slip stitch pattern at the beginning of every repeat. These were these toe up socks? Yeah, these were knit toe up with a German short row heel and a 2x2 cuff. I knit them using hires 2.25mm. Hires are the needles that I tend to knit most of my projects on these days. I like the needle and I like the cable. But I tend to use the stainless steels rather than the sharps, although if I were doing lace knitting then I definitely would use the sharps. Anyway, that's by the by. So here they are. Not much to say about them other than the yarn is absolutely splendid. It's really bright. I started knitting these in August of 2017, so they've taken quite a long time to get off the needles, but now that they are, I'm absolutely delighted, and I shall be giving them a wash and a block, and then they'll be ready to wear to brighten up my winter feet. So that is my finished object for this episode. On to my works in progress. I have got 3 things to show you today. 2 socks and my jumper. So let's do socks while I've got the sock blocker out. First pair of socks that are still on the needles, although actually I haven't got one on the needle, I have got a half finished object, and that is my Akern sock, patterned by Hannah of Yarnia Designs, and the first sock that is off the needles is here. It's an absolutely gorgeous pattern. Let's turn it around that way. So I am knitting the socks out of Sweet Skein O'Mine in the Garden Greys colourway. Lovely, do it that way. Lovely, lovely, lovely skein of yarn. And the pattern, really well written. I would, this is the first pattern that I've knit from Hannah, and I would definitely knit another of her patterns. They're so well described, and it all worked out really beautifully. So you can see it's a simple rib on the foot, and then a little way up the leg, heel flap and gusset heel construction, and then this beautiful pattern that is meant to represent acorns, and then it was a 1x1 rib to finish. This bit here was so easy. Having said that, I did have to start that bit again, but that was because I was being stupid, not anything to do with the pattern. But yeah, once I got into the flow of it, really straightforward. So I really like those. I haven't started sock number 2 yet, and I obviously haven't woven in my ends, but that will happen at some point. I've put these on the back burner just for a few weeks because I want to knit some festive socks. So sock number 2 you will see in a future episode, maybe January or February. I hope to get that finished. So that's the Akern socks by Hannah of Yarnia Designs. The second sock that I'm knitting is also off the needles. Actually, I finished the second sock. Finished the first sock of the pair yesterday, and this is a Christmas sock. I don't normally knit with festive coloured yarns. You won't see a lot of reds in my colour palette, but this was a gift from lovely Marta of Martushka Yarns. She has very recently started dyeing her own yarns, and I really like this yarn. Here it is in the cake, as you can see, really festive, and I'm not sure if you will see, but it is, yes, you can see a little bit. It is a sparkler. Again, sparkle yarns with stellina in is not usually something that I would knit, but for a Christmas sock, you've got to have a bit of sparkle, haven't you? And the sock that I'm knitting, I've knit it a little bit too big, so it's a bit baggy on my sock blocker. The second sock of the pair will be a slightly better fit, but I've gone for the How I Roll pattern by Mara Catherine. Did I print it out? I don't think I did. No, I've been using my phone for the pattern for these. I will put, obviously all the details are on the Ravelry page for this pattern, but it's the How I Roll sock, and it's a recipe for either toe up or cuff down, a variety of heel constructions and a variety of toe constructions. Really well written pattern. Found it very straightforward to use. I think the pattern takes the Rose City roller. So that's right. It's a pattern by the same designer who created the Rose City rollers, and I've knit a pair of those before. Rose City rollers are traditionally knit top down, cuff down, although there isn't a cuff. But as I've taken to knitting my socks toe up at the moment, I thought I'd give this variation of the Rose City roller a try, and it was fine. It's really well written, and it's come up with a really lovely sock. Just I knit it slightly too long up there. Anyway, there it is. Marta's yarn is gorgeous. It's not, it's bright, and it's certainly bright for me, but it's not too zingy, and I think that's because she uses some very deep reds and some very deep greens, as well as the brighter reds and greens in there, so that sort of tones it down a bit, which is a little bit more up my street. But yeah, there you go. Really nice, really quick knit. I think I cast this on Thursday, and it's now Sunday, and I have had quite a lot of knitting time this weekend. I've downed tools with the bag making, so it's just been any crafting time I've had has been knitting related. So yeah, so there's sock number 2. I will cast sock number 1 of the pair. I will cast on sock number 2 later on today, and hopefully have those finished over the festive period. Let me put those away. Okay, and then the other work in progress that I have got going at the moment is my Mirror Mesnil jumper. I showed progress on this jumper in the last episode. I think from memory I was almost at the bottom of the body of the jumper. Forgive me if I have misremembered that. But now I've made quite a bit more progress. I have, let's see how I can show this to you. So I might stand up for this. There we go. So as you can see, I have finished the body and I have knit one sleeve. These are gorgeous sleeves. They are 3/4 length, sort of bell-shaped sleeves. Produce a beautiful, beautiful sleeve. And then I have just started sleeve number 2. And once that sleeve is finished, that is the jumper all finished. Really, really enjoying the pattern. I can't wait to block this out. The yarn that I'm using is this Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the Dove Heather colourway. It's a nice basic yarn from Knit Picks. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. You get 137 yards to 50 grams and it's a sport weight. I would definitely use this yarn again. It's not that prickly, well, it's not prickly at all. And I have been told that once the yarn gets its wash, it softens up really nicely. So yeah, hopefully by the next time I record, this will be a finished item. I've really enjoyed knitting it and it's really given me the taste for knitting other jumpers. So there will be more garments coming in 2019. Is there anything more that I can tell you about this pattern? You can see the detail of the pleat there. I think that's a really nice design element, and the very simple increases around the yoke, very subtle in this. Yeah, really nice. I'm really pleased with it. Haven't tried it on yet. That will be the next thing to see, but yeah, really pleased with it. So that's all my current works in progress. I'm not showing you my blanket at the moment because I've been knitting on it, but it's just a blanket. I will perhaps show that to you in the next episode though, because I am planning on doing quite a bit of blanket work over Christmas. So throughout 2018 I was running the Make 9 along, and that was great fun. I didn't do too well with my 9. I think I have managed, let's have a look here, I've got a list. I finished 1, 2, 3 of my 9 and have got 1, 2 others cast on, but not yet finished. That's not great, is it? But I think I fell foul of the same problem that so many other people had, that they were very enthusiastic for their patterns at the start of the year, but as the year wore on, they, or I and others, were tempted by other new shiny sparkly things that they prefer to cast on instead of what they picked out in January. So we're dealing with that in the 2019 edition of the Make Along, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I thought you might like to see the items from the 2018 Make Along that I did finish. The first one, I'll put a picture of my grid that I had planned to knit here, if I remember, and let me take you through the items that I have finished. So the first one is my boxy, and I showed this to you in the in episode 19 or episode 18, I can't remember, but I just finished it and I was a little bit disenchanted with it. I didn't really like it that much, but then I started to wear it and I have worn it. Sorry, I'm very distracted. The window's in front of me and there are loads of birds in the garden eating nuts and seeds off the feeder at the moment. There looks to be about 8 or 9 on there. Anyway, sorry. Talking about my boxy, yeah, I was really disenchanted with it, but since then I've been wearing it an awful lot and I absolutely love it. You've had a sneak peek of it already but let me just show you. There are some things I'm not overly happy with. If I were to knit it again, I would knit it slightly longer. I think it could do with being a little bit longer at the front, maybe only an inch or so. And at the back rides up, which I'm not massively happy about. And maybe if I were to do another one, I might do some short rows to lengthen the back a bit. Whether I will knit another one or not, I don't know, because it's an awful lot of knitting. But I do like it, and I wear it quite a lot. So those slight niggles that I have don't really stop me too much from wearing it or from liking it. The yarn so far is holding up really nicely. It was a Drops Nord in the light beige colourway, I think. And I mean, it's been worn a lot. I've not washed it. It's not had a wash and a block since I started wearing it. And the yarn is holding up really nicely. It's lovely and soft and has got a really nice drape. I was a little bit worried because it's got quite a lot of alpaca in it, and I thought the alpaca might make the jumper lose its shape a bit, but so far it hasn't. Yeah, so I'm just really pleased with it. I took the decision not to knit the sleeves. So the original boxy has got sort of 3/4 length tighter sleeves. I decided not to knit sleeves and just to leave it. I knit a rib around the armhole there instead, and I'm really pleased with that decision. If I were to knit another boxy, I would probably do the same, and I just wear these sort of loose jersey tops underneath, and works fine. It does get a little bit warm because of the alpaca, and I do feel the heat quite a lot, so yeah, but I guess that's the job of a jumper, isn't it, to keep you warm. So yeah, really pleased with the boxy. It's a pattern by Johi Locatelli, and all the details are on my project pages. So that was tick number 1. Tick number 2 was my simple beret, pattern by Hannah Fettig, I think. Again, details in the on my project page. It was knit out of Derirum Natura, the Gilead range in the Poivre colourway. I absolutely love this hat. I've worn it so many times. I just love it. I love the shape of it. I think this is definitely my shape of hat. I've got another one planned in a different colour. Just really, really pleased with it. I wouldn't change anything about this hat. Love it. I would highly recommend anyone to make one of these if you like this. Whoops, if you like this sort of shape of hat. Really simple, knits up really quickly. And the nice thing about the pattern is that it provides you with the pattern for a range of different weights of yarn. I think it starts at fingering, goes through sport weight, worsted and bulky, I think, but there are definitely four weights of yarn that it provides the pattern for. So yeah, really pleased with that. And then socks. I have done well with my socks. I've written 7 down here. I think there might even be 8 pairs. I will run through these very quickly, just because it's always nice to see people's socks, I think. A lot of us are sock knitters. So, in no particular order, other than the order that they're sitting on my knee, and I will just show you one of each. Plain vanilla sock, knit out of Debbie at Down Sheepy Lane's beautiful Hellebore colourway, which was one of the Flower Power Fund colours. as you will see, I have had a little bit of a washing problem with some of my socks. I washed a bunch of them all together, and one of the pairs of socks has bled, and I've got some blue staining on a couple of my pairs of socks. I'm not overly bothered. These will be under trousers, so you won't really see those. So that was sock number 1, started and finished this year. Sock number 2 that I finished, although didn't start and so hasn't actually counted as part of my make 9, but I thought you'd like to see it, is these gorgeous Robin Redbreast socks. I think the colourway is, again, a vanilla sock. The yarn is by Helen of Giddy Yarns, and it's I just absolutely love this. I love the greys, I love this brown, and there's a little bit of red. Beautiful socks, love them, fit really well. So pair number 2. Pair number 3 that I have started and finished this year is another Flower Power Fun sock, and this is the Crocus colourway from Kelly at Lay Family Yarns. Love that. I did just a rib for this one. Quite like a ribbed sock. I thought I would not enjoy knitting a ribbed sock because generally I don't enjoy rib, but actually I did really enjoy knitting that, and I love the way that it fits, so I'm going to be doing some more ribbed socks in my future. So that's the Crocus colourway. I don't think the contrast has a name, but it was the contrast that came with the skein of yarn. Sock number 3 is another vanilla sock by using yarn from Twisted Limone, and this is in the Perfectly Denim colourway. Love that. Really love that. Anything to tell you about that? Most of my socks, when I knit with self-striping, I use this German short row heel. If you're looking for a really good tutorial on the German short row heel, Ellie at Craft House Magic has got a really good tutorial. In fact, she's got a really good tutorial series on how to knit a toe-up sock. I would really recommend looking at that if you are unsure about toe-up sock knitting, and particularly if you are interested in looking to see how the German short row heel knits up. So yeah, one of my favourites from this year. Another of my favourites that has fallen victim to the rogue bit of blue in the wash is the, another vanilla sock using Berger de France in the Goomy 50 range, and this was Imprim Beige, I think, off the top of my head. All the details for all the socks are in the project pages. There was a lot of love for this colourway when I shared it on the podcast and on Instagram in particular. It's just a brilliant, brilliant colourway. I would definitely knit another pair of socks in that, particularly as, can you see it on this one? So you can see some of that blue has got there. More sadly, I'll show you the other sock of this, because this one took the full force of the rogue blue. You can see it there. You can, look at that. And I'm just not sure what caused that, that blue. I don't think any of the socks that I washed it with, I can't remember which ones it was exactly, I'm sure none of the socks had any of that blue in it. So it's a real shame. And given that I love these socks so much, I think I need to get another couple of skeins of this yarn and knit that again. That's a real shame. I usually wash my socks in the washing machine, and I did the same with the last wash that I did that caused that blue problem. Maybe I won't do that in future. In terms of how they hold up in the washing machine, no problem whatsoever. Yeah, it's a bit disappointing really, but there we go. And then the last pair of socks that I started and completed this year was a test knit for lovely Helen at Untitled Yarns. I forget the name of this pattern. That's really annoying. Can't remember. But it was a test knit for Helen. Again, another really gorgeous pattern. I was a little bit intimidated when I saw the picture, as I said in a previous podcast, but actually it's such an easy knit. This down here looks really complicated, but is not at all. And it's beautifully, it comes up beautifully in this tonal blue that is one of Helen's colourways. Yeah, really nice sock. They fit so well, and they've worn up really well. I've been wearing these an awful lot, and the yarn holds up beautifully. So yeah, so that's my Yantan Tetherer sock for the year. Lovely. Doesn't that just look so elegant? Really nice. I wore these, I can't remember where I wore them, and I was showing them off to somebody, a non-knitter, and they would not believe that that was hand knit. They thought that was a commercial sock. So I think that is a testament to Helen's pattern and Helen's yarn. Really good. So that's all the socks that I have started and finished this year. So that was another box ticked for my Make 9 of 2018. The other patterns, just looking at my show notes, that were in my boxes was the Mirror Mesnil. So I might finish that this year. If I've just got that sleeve to do and I put some work into it over Christmas, then that will get finished. But I really want to knit my blanket. I don't know, we'll see. It's a toss-up between blanket and Mirror Mesnil with a little bit of sock knitting on the side this Christmas, I think. And I also started Oceana, which is a lace weight shawl pattern by Yanina Callio. I wasn't going to show it, but I have, excuse me, I have got it here, I think. So, yeah. So why not show you? I showed this on a podcast possibly 2 or 3 episodes ago, and I'd made that much progress and I haven't touched it since. So it's a bit of a poor show in terms of the Make 9. It's a lovely pattern, beautiful yarn. There's the yarn, a grey lace weight with a bit of yuckiness there. My ball winder is shocking. I'm going to treat myself to a new ball winder next year. The yarn is... Can I find anything that might help us with the yarn? There. Blowing out. It's a... Sorry. Might just be able to see that. Hold it close enough. It's from the Yarn Collective. Portland Lace. And the colourway is Morning Rain. Love their branding. And the pattern, all scrunched up I'm afraid, and I'm not sure that I've got... Oh no, I have got a picture. It's a black and white picture, but you get the idea. Oh, I really like that. It's given me the incentive, I think, to pick that up again. So that's a tick for started, but not a tick for finished. And then anything else on my grid wasn't started at all. So 2018 is drawing to a close. I will be drawing for the last quarter's winner, so the finished objects posted in the finished object thread from October through to the end of December. I'll draw for those just before I podcast again in January. So you've got a week, just over a week, to get any last minute finished objects into that post. I will also draw a prize for anybody who has completed their full 9. I know that's not many, but if you have, you are in for a chance of winning a prize, and I will show the prizes in the next episode. Can I take this opportunity to just thank you all for taking part and sticking with it throughout the year. Seemed like a long time ago that the idea for this knit along or make along first sort of came into my brain, and I ummed and ahed quite a lot about whether I could do it, should do it, all that sort of thing. I am so glad that I did. Hopefully you've enjoyed it if you took part, but just thank you so much for keeping the chatter thread going. I'm not very good at that, and I must make more effort next year. But I did come in and I did read everything, and I've liked everything, and I've tried to take part in some of the conversations. And for all the finished objects, it's just been brilliant, and I have definitely added some new patterns to my favourite lists, on my favourite list on Ravelry. Sorry, I've just been distracted by a notification, a message that's come up from my daughter. She was out last night for a sleepover at a friend's house, and I just asked her before I started recording whether she got much sleep, because they never do they? And she just replied to say, actually, I did get quite a lot. So that's good. She won't be too grumpy this afternoon. Anyway, so as 2018 draws to a close and 2019 is popping its head round the corner, as you know, I mentioned in the last podcast that I will be running the Eldenwood Craft Make 9 Along 2019 version. I've already mentioned that this year or next year, 2019, will have a slight twist on this year's version, in that instead of naming specific patterns that you want to knit during the year, this time your 9 items need to be types of things that you would like to knit, or techniques that you would like to master, or new materials that you'd like to use. Someone has already messaged to say, I can't remember what it was that they wanted to use that they'd not used before, but yeah, go for it. A new craft that you'd like to try, perhaps. Maybe you've never done cross stitch and fancy giving that a go. Why not put that in your grid? So that's the plan for 2019. It will run in exactly the same way. So we will have a chatter thread, we'll have a finished object thread, and I will draw prizes at the end of each quarter for any items posted in the finished objects thread for the preceding 3 months. And at the end of the year, like there will be this year, there will be a prize for or a prize drawn from those people who have finished all 9 of their items. Any items that you make have to be cast on in 2019, so no whips from 2018, please. And obviously they need to be finished in 2019 to be eligible to take part. Anything else to tell you from that? Just turn my page over. The hashtag that we will use will be the 2019 version of the 2018 make along, so it'll be hashtag EC Make 9 2019. Just had to check that. I'll put it on the show notes here, and all the details will be in the Ravelry thread that I'm about to write. That will go up over the festive period. I'll also put a post on my website detailing it all, so there'll be plenty of places for you to go, and if you need to reference what needs to be done. I'll put a picture of my grid of 9 here so you can see what I'm planning on making during the year. And my list of things includes 2 jumpers, 2 shawls, a pair of mittens, another hat, something sewn. So I really want to start sewing my own clothes. So I've got a pattern in mind. I want to make the cocoa top from Tilly and the Buttons, and that's the picture that you can see in the grid. But it might not be that one. I might choose something else. But I'd really like to start sewing my own clothes. I'd also like to knit something using brioche, and I've got something in mind for that. Yeah, that's the technique that I'd like to master. And then the other thing is I'd like to design my own shawl or wrap. And again, I've got something in mind for that, but I'm going to keep that under wraps for now. So those are my 9. I think the first thing that will be cast on will be the hat, because that will tie in quite nicely with the hat knit along or make along that I'm running with Caroline from the Love to Sew podcast. I'll talk about that in a minute. So I hope you decide to join in 2019. It would be great to have you on board. It'd be fantastic if there are people from the 2018 make along who decide to join in 2019 as well, and let's see if we can have more of us finishing our grids. I'm quite hopeful actually that 2019 will see quite a few grids finished. So there we go, share your makes online, share your makes on Instagram. What I didn't do this year actually was to draw some prizes from social media, and maybe I should do that as well. So perhaps if we say that at some point during the year I will do I'll draw for a prize from posts on Instagram that have used the hashtag ECMake92019. Let's have some chatter that way as well. So on to the other cal that I'm running. I've alluded to it, I've mentioned it very briefly, the New Year Warm Head cal. Excuse me. As I said, I'm running that with lovely Caroline. Hello Caroline. I'll put links to Caroline's podcast down below. She will have details also in her podcast about the make along. And the idea, very simply, cast on and cast off in January a hat to keep your head warm. And you'll see that ties in with one of the boxes on my grid. I am either going to make another one of these. I quite fancy making one in a tealy colour, maybe. I quite like to knit another one out of the same yarn, out of the Durarum Natura. So I need to go and have a bit of a shop, I think, for some yarn for that. So the hat needs to be cast on in January, cast off in January. Caroline is hosting the chatter thread. I think the thread is open now. I need to double check that, and if it is, I need to go and say hello in there. And I will be hosting the finished object thread. So post your finished hats in my Ravelry thread. There'll be a link to it in the show notes. And we will be drawing a prize from each of the threads at the once the cal has finished. We haven't discussed bags, we haven't discussed prizes, but as Caroline is a bag maker, as am I am sure that there will be some bags being offered as prizes, and we'll have to see what else we can come up with. So that is the make. Too many cals to keep track of. So that's the hat, the warm head, the New Year warm head cal. That's it. Again, there is a hashtag for that cal. I think it's hashtag New Year warm head cal, but I'll put it on the screen so that you can see. Right. I think that's everything that I had to say. It's been a wonderful year. I had a bit of a break from podcasting in the middle of the year for summer, but I've got back into the swing of it, and I think this might even be the third time I've sat down in front of the camera in December, so I'm getting a bit of a getting into the swing of it a bit more. So I'll be back in January. We're having a nice quiet family Christmas. It'll just be the three of us for Christmas this year. My parents are up in Yorkshire and don't travel well, so we'll not be seeing them over the festive period. And my husband's family are in Barcelona for Christmas this year, visiting my brother-in-law, who lives out there, obviously. So we won't be seeing them either. So it's just a really nice, quiet Christmas, just the three of us. And actually, we're really looking forward to it. We've been talking for a while about having Christmas, quite a low-key Christmas. So this is our opportunity this year. What do we do at Christmas? We'll be opening presents, probably in our pyjamas in the morning. We'll spend the day slowly cooking Christmas dinner. We'll probably eat about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Turkey, roasts, Brussels, prawn cocktail to start with. My husband makes the best prawn cocktail. It's a Gordon Ramsay prawn cocktail. We're into the cooking segment of the podcast, as you can see. He really does make the best prawn cocktail, and we have it most years at Christmas now, and any other opportunity that we can have to eat it during the year. I'm not a big fan of Christmas pudding or Christmas cake or mince pies or any of that sort of thing, so I don't tend to overindulge at Christmas, but we will be hitting the cheese board after Christmas dinner as well, playing some board games, having a little snooze, all the usual sorts of things that many of us do. And then the following day we'll be having a walk somewhere, probably on the coast. We'll be having a nice brisk walk to blow the cobwebs away, and see what else happens. We're not planning on doing very much, but just really looking forward to spending some time with my husband and my daughter, just that downtime that we all need at the moment. My daughter she's doing her GCSEs this year, or she'll be doing them in the summer, so she's just had her mocks and she's absolutely shattered, so this 2-week break couldn't come soon enough for her, so she's looking forward to doing very little, as am I, as is my husband. So that's the plan for the next couple of weeks. I've got to work tomorrow, Christmas Eve, but then that'll be it until after New Year. So that's quite a nice place to wrap things up for this year. Thank you so much for all your support with everything that I've been doing, for the podcast, for Instagram if you use that, for my Etsy shop. Just makes me so happy doing all of this. You're all wonderful, and I hope for more of the same in 2019. So until I come back in January, I wish you all the very best for Christmas, for 2019, and much love to you all. And thank you again for all your support. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye.